again, the idea of this panel today was I'm the data guy, then we got the economist, and now we've got a guy who can talk about trade policy. I think, let's show of hands if you've heard of UPS. Everybody here heard of UPS? Okay. I think they know who UPS is. That's good.
Thank you.
So I'll turn it over to you, and we had a great conversation on the phone a few days ago, so I look forward to hearing what you got to say.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing what I have to say too. So, I'm following a trendsetter, an economist, and a macro view, and I would just tell you we're kind of where the rubber hits the road, literally and figuratively. So let me bring it right down from the macroeconomics. I'm having a fight with my 13-year-old son. He doesn't want to use an electric toothbrush. He wants to be a traditionalist and use that. So why am I sharing that with you? I just need to get it off my chest. I'm feeling a lot better. But let me ask you this. In the 2 minutes that the electric toothbrush goes before it buzzes and tells you to stop, how many strokes do you think happen in an electric toothbrush? 1,000? What? How many thousands?
There's a big prize if you get this right, so I didn't think about it.
Yep, you're a loser, you're wrong. But thank you. Yeah, there is, at the electric toothbrush. 62,000 strokes in 2 minutes, okay? It's done through tiny magnets of things that I can barely pronounce. Neodymium, dysonium, boron. How many metals do you think are in an electric toothbrush? 35. How much does an electric toothbrush cost?
$10.
Yeah, you can get it for 60, a pretty good one, maybe about $110, $120.
I'm feeling so much better about my electric toothbrush.
There you go.
Yeah, I really
It's an
am.
investment. It's not a, right? Okay, so why do I share this with you? Why does all that matter? 10 years ago, I would tell you electric toothbrush sales were about 2% of personal hygiene. They're up in the multi-percentages. How many countries does it take to make the electric toothbrush?
7.
Close, 17. 17 countries. So primarily China, obviously Congo, Chile, Russia, South Korea, Indonesia, and Turkey to make a $110 item that sits on our counter. So UPS is in the transportation business. We try to understand some of these shifts. We sometimes don't understand the shifts and they just happen upon us. I thought it would be good to try to bring reality from the macroeconomic shifts that we see. I would tell you as a driver, and having started with UPS, picking up domestic accounts and then picking up international accounts, those trends in the last 2 decades are not reversible. You will not, in this example, be able to actually produce electric toothbrushes just in the United States, source the precious metals it takes, and be able to do it in a manner that makes it competitive to sell the electric toothbrush for $120 at CVS, right? So for us, the argument's over, and we need to look forward. And some of my comments that I thought I'd share with you are really on what we think the next opportunity is, which is TPP. Right, that's what's on the threshold. That's what at our doorstep. Like I said, when I started as a driver with UPS, I would tell you that we've discovered now in the last 10 years for our company, every 22 packages that cross an international border within our system create a job or sustain a job in our company. So if you look back 10 or 15 years ago, and why does it matter to UPS? Because we're really a microcosm of what businesses are doing, right? We go in business and out of business every day. If there are packages still in our facilities anywhere in the world, we're doing a bad job. We pick them up, flush them through our systems, and we deliver them within 72 hours, 24 hours, etc. So if a package crosses a border, 22 of them, we're creating a job. So much of the arguments about trade and the siphoning of economics and employment are not a reality within our business and our competitors' business. So one of the things I wanted to highlight, I saw Ken talking about Texas, and so I went quickly and started looking at TPP and what it means, and I'm just going to share some stats with you for Texas, because it was a big energy play that he spoke of. But if you're a Texan, there are other things in Texas that matter to Texas other than energy. Any guesses?
Electronics.
Say again?
Electronics.
Electronics, yeah. Think old world a little bit, still the agribusiness of Texas. Cattle.
Cotton.
So under TPP, beef will see a 50% reduction in tariffs for Texas exports. So tell me that's not real for Texas. Poultry, a 40% tariff decrease. Leather boots, that's what I think of when I think of Texas, right? Leather boot exports out of Texas will see a 30% decrease. Wire and cable, 30% decrease in tariffs. Cotton, thread, 15%, and plastic, 10%. So sometimes we think we get caught in the macroeconomic arguments of whether trade is good, whether TPP is good. The reality is many of these regional economies that exist in the United States are part of global value chains. It's not reversible anymore. So we need to figure out a way to help ensure that these exports or imports, and I would just spend a second or two on imports, are not a bad thing for the United States. Imports equals inputs, inputs equals exports, and that argument gets lost sometimes in the propaganda of the dark side. So the only other thing I think I would highlight before sitting down and answering any questions that you have is that you know the reality of what some of these trade agreements create. So UPS exists in about 200 countries around the world, and we have a harder time in some countries and an easier time in others to do what our customers are asking us to do. So why we're proponents of these trade agreements is they create what we generally talk about as rule of law, but it also ensures a level playing field. There's countries that we've named with the flag quiz that we just had that 70% of their economy is run by SOEs. What's SOE stand for? State-owned enterprises. So UPS and other competitors, some of the customers that we might have in this room, have to compete against government-run businesses. Trade deals like TPP try to unpackage some of that, right? To allow fair competition and a level playing field. Creates transparency, anti-corruption measures, and as you heard the administration say, it reduces about 18,000 tariffs on US exports. So, what I'll end with is, you know us as a traditional company. Ken did a good job about advertising about World City and his company. I'm not gonna be so brash and advertise about UPS, but what I'm gonna talk to you about is we're not the UPS that you used to think of before. And why I say that is, we have to modify and change and adapt like the world's adapting. And for us, the global value chain is that adoption. You'll see announcements, and you may have seen announcements lately in regards to drone and the use of alternative vehicles for delivery. You'll see announcements about 3D printing and how that might revolutionize things. You'll see announcement about autonomous vehicles and self-driving vehicles. This is the world that we're living in now. So if we as a company or our customers stand with their feet planted and not look at the rest of the world, you may become irrelevant. So, you know, UPS now has a whole 3D network, 3D printing network through our UPS stores around the United States. So somebody anywhere in the world can draw up through 3D or CAD programs an item, send the file to a UPS store, we print the item, if that's the right term, we create the item and we make the item and deliver it the next day in that neighborhood. So when you think about that, you go, what? Right? We worked with somebody who does prosthetics. He printed an arm for a girl in the neighborhood for like $150 rather than the $5,700 that they would normally print. That's disruption. That's evolution and maybe revolution, right? It's changing the way things are made, things are moved, and global value chains. So UPS now moves a lot of plastic beads around the world, right? Which are the injection pieces into creating 3D printing. Why are we flying drones in Rwanda? Well, we believe that we look at these disruptive technologies and this international network that's changing, and we think that access to medicine is important. So we're now delivering blood plasma, et cetera, to remote areas in Rwanda on a pilot basis to see if the processes work. How do you nest? How do you land? How do you deliver, right? High value items. So how does all that fit into what we do? We think the world regionally is starting to become a network of global villages, right? So when you look at the regionalization of the world and the commanding heights that it used to have, where energy is not decentralized, what we see now is the use and mobility of a de-aggregated economy that allows everybody to play. So the last thing that we see is how micro multinationals are starting to develop. So where big companies used to be the pioneers of these trends, because of the global internet, because of platform e-commerce, what you're seeing is everything that I talked to you about occurs and is empowered by these small SME, micro multinationals. And that's the next the trend we're seeing in trade. So I'll end on that.